I used to think the worst part was being laughed at. It wasn't people laugh, and the sound passes. What stays is the tone they start using afterward, the one reserved for children, addicts, or anyone who has made a life choice the family has collectively agreed not to respect. That was the tone my parents used whenever my work came up. My older brother, Salman, sold insurance and wore pressed shirts even on weekends. My sister taught chemistry at a private school. They were the examples. They had pensions, schedules, and jobs my father could explain to neighbors in one sentence. I designed educational software for independent publishers to my family that translated to still playing on a laptop. At dinners, my mother would ask, any real clients yet? My father preferred, you know freelancing is fine in your 20s, but this can't be your whole life. By 32, he stopped speaking to me directly about it and started speaking through other people. He once told an uncle, while I was sitting 3 feet away, some children are stable. Some children are creative. Everyone laughed. I laughed too because objecting only made me look defensive, and defensive people are always assumed to be losing. The strange thing is, I wasn't losing. Not exactly. I was exhausted. I was uncertain. I had months where invoices came late and months where I lived on tea and panic. But I was building licensing tools for small curriculum companies, and too slowly for anyone watching from outside. It was working. I never told my family when a contract renewed. I never told them when I hired 2 part-time developers. I never told them when a regional publisher in Canada wanted exclusive rights. There was no point presenting seedlings to people who only respected fully grown trees. Then last spring, one of the companies I had built custom systems for was acquired by a larger education platform. My software package was part of the sale agreement. After fees, taxes, and buyout terms, my portion came to $2.7 million. I stared at the number on the screen for nearly an hour. Not because I wanted to scream, because I felt strangely calm, as if some private courtroom had finally stamped a document no one else had seen. I told almost no one. I paid off my apartment, moved my parents' medical records to a better private network, hired a financial planner, and kept quiet. But money that size leaves fingerprints. A business journal did a short profile on the acquisition. Someone from university reposted it. One congratulatory comment became 20, and by evening my phone, usually silent except for work, began vibrating like it was trying to escape the table. My mother called first. Her voice was syrupy in a way that made me sit down. Why didn't you tell us this wonderful news? Wonderful. 6 months earlier, she had introduced me to a family friend as still figuring things out. By the next day, Salman texted, proud of you, brother. Knew your persistence would pay off. I stared at that sentence until I laughed. He had once offered to help me write a proper CV. Then came cousins I hadn't heard from in years, an aunt with sudden blood pressure issues, my sister mentioning school fee increases, my father talking vaguely about family responsibilities and blessings being shared correctly. No one asked what the years had cost me. They asked what was available. Still, a small stupid part of me hoped this was clumsy love. Maybe families repaired themselves awkwardly. Maybe money simply made everyone sentimental and strange. So when my mother insisted I host Christmas dinner, a fresh start altogether, I agreed. She sounded almost tearful. It will mean so much to everyone. I booked a private dining room at a hotel outside the city. Long polished table, white linens, the kind of place my family would describe as classy in lowered voices. I told them I had something important to discuss about the future. That phrase did exactly what I knew it would do. When they arrived, they were glowing with speculation. My aunt kissed my forehead twice. Salman brought an expensive bottle of something he never would have purchased on his own. My sister kept saying, this is such a blessing for all of us. For all of us, I listened. Mortgage issues surfaced. Business ideas surfaced. A cousin mentioned a franchise opportunity. My father patted my shoulder and said, a man becomes truly successful when he lifts his whole bloodline. I nodded and cut my salmon. Halfway through the main course, the hotel manager opened the side door and escorted in a woman in a charcoal suit carrying leather folders. Several faces brightened instantly. I stood. This is Ms. Rahman, I said, my estate attorney. There was a beat of silence, then actual smiles around the table. My mother put a hand to her chest. Oh, she whispered. Yes, they thought. Here it comes. Ms. Rahman distributed the folders one by one. Paper rustled. Chairs shifted. Then the smiles began to die. Inside each folder was a formal summary of the charitable foundation established that morning in my grandmother's name, funded with a significant endowment for rural girls' technology education. There was also documentation showing a managed medical annuity for my parents, enough to guarantee private care for the rest of their lives, inaccessible as lump cash, no discretionary family distributions, no gifts, no loans, no investments. Just one additional page, a legal notice. Miss Rahman spoke in the same tone people use when reading flight instructions. Due to the volume of financial solicitations, coordinated requests, and repeated pressure messages received by my client in recent months, all future monetary discussions are to be directed through counsel. Personal requests will not be acknowledged. No one touched their dessert spoon. My brother looked at me, then at the document, then back at me as if there had been an administrative misunderstanding. My aunt gave a tiny laugh. What is this? No one answered her because everyone in that room understood exactly what it was. For the first time in my life, our family behavior existed outside family language. Not concern, not support, not joking, not advice, solicitation, pressure, documentation. My father's face hardened, but he said nothing. What could he say in front of an attorney, hotel staff moving quietly around us, printed evidence sitting under his hand? Any protest would sound like confirmation. Dinner continued, technically. Glasses clinked. Someone asked for coffee. My mother dabbed at her lipstick, though it wasn't smudged. Conversation broke into little dead branches and fell away. I didn't make a speech. There was nothing useful in one. I had taken care of the people who once kept me alive. I had declined everyone who only noticed me once I became useful. That was enough. When I left the hotel that night, my phone stayed silent. For the first Christmas I could remember, silence felt expensive and entirely mine.